would just tell him that I pray every day that, somebody comes forward. Somebody please, we need justice. It's been 5 years, and Tyler deserves justice.
A mother's plea to find who murdered her son after going years without answers. Angela Mantlow's son, Tyler Howell, was murdered more than 5 years ago on a rural stretch of road in Milton, Florida.
He'll be gone 5 years. It don't get easier. The emotions come in waves. But I try to stay strong.
Tyler was Angela's oldest son. She tells Law&Crime Network he was fun-loving, goofy, and the typical 21-year-old.
He was just ordinary kid. I mean, I say kid, but he was 21. But yeah, he was just always making people laugh. Just a goofy personality he had.
Tyler came from a tight-knit family. He was close with his siblings. He worked with his uncle. Although, like any other 21-year-old, while living with his mom and dad, he had hopes for more independence. But those hopes were taken too soon. To Angela, October 21st of 2018 began as any other normal day.
I was at home. I got home later that night, and he was standing at the front door. It was about 10:30, and he always had a cell phone that was broke. You couldn't see nothing. I don't see how he texted, how he called anybody, but he was on a cell phone, and he said, "Mom, I'll be in a minute." And I said, "Okay, son, I love you. Good night. Come in and lock the door when you're done." Well, he ended up waiting for his cousin to pick him up. They were going to the store to go buy cigarettes. And I went ahead and went to bed. This was at 10:30. And I never saw him again.
Then her world shattered.
My niece come back, and they pulled into the driveway, and the people come and pulled in behind them, and he got out and got into their car. Well, one of the guys out of the Kia that was behind them come to my niece's car and put a gun to her on the passenger side and told her to get out of the car.
Angela says her niece was held at gunpoint. She ran back to the house and told them someone stole her car. Angela says her husband called police, but what ends up happening next would later devastate Angela's entire family.
They got the call. I just knew that it was him that got shot. I just knew it. I just had a feeling in my soul. And I ran down there. I was running out of the driveway to get to him. And I ran back in the yard, got in my car, went down the road, and the ambulance and everybody was down there, and the cops wouldn't let me get to him. And they were doing CPR, but he was already gone.
Officials say Tyler was shot and killed that night, and what they would later describe as a drug deal gone bad.
I hate to use the term drug deal gone bad because it kind of minimizes the fact that a young man was murdered. But that is what it was. We had learned through our investigation that Tyler had been involved in selling some cocaine. And we believe that the individuals that killed him knew Tyler, and that Tyler, or at least were attempting to make a drug deal with Tyler.
Captain Scott Jones is the captain of the Criminal Investigations Division at the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office. He tells me Tyler's shooting was not random, and Tyler may have known the people involved in his own murder.
It appears from the surveillance that he knew the individuals. They were shaking hands, kind of dabbing each other up. And when he got back in the car with his cousin, he told her that he was fixing to serve them, which in law enforcement terms means he was fixing to have a drug transaction with these individuals, and he indicated that they were going to be following him back to his residence.
Within a week, the department released surveillance video from that deadly night, showing 3 black men enter the gas station. From there, they leave and head towards Tyler's home. Captain Jones says that the men forced and held Tyler's cousin at gunpoint, demanding she get out of the car.
At this point, she did not know where Tyler was. We suspect that he was running down the road, and at some point he was caught by the individuals, and that's when the shooting occurred.
Captain Jones says he believes the intent was to rob Tyler, pointing to no obvious signs of a struggle. After the murder, investigators reached out to the community to see if anyone from the public knew any information about the case.
We do know that we suspect that all of the individuals involved, as far as the suspect side of this homicide, were from the next county over in Pensacola. We believe they were all Escambia County folks. I don't believe any of them were Milton residents or Santa Rosa County residents.
Authorities say they were on the lookout for a gray Kia and a blue Chevy.
The blue Chevy that was stolen during the incident was later recovered after a drive-by shooting in Pensacola. It was actually used in a drive-by shooting in Pensacola and later abandoned in that area. We discovered that the gray Kia actually belonged to a gentleman who lived in Pensacola who was disabled. However, we discovered that that vehicle had been stopped multiple times with different black male drivers, and the car was registered to an older white male. So basically, we made contact with that person and come to find out he would frequently loan the car out in exchange for drugs. And so he was actually pretty cooperative with us, and that's kind of how we determined that the main suspect, the one we previously released to the media, Kearis Hawkins, was the one who had possession of that vehicle during the time frame of this homicide.
Jones says still to this day, Hawkins has been the only one officially named to the public as a suspect. So who is Kearis Hawkins, and why were police looking for him? Hawkins is currently serving prison time for an unrelated shooting. And according to jail records, he has a lengthy rap sheet. He's been in and out of prison since 2011 for charges stemming from burglary to grand theft to drug possession. Despite being named a suspect, Captain Jones says his team of investigators don't have enough evidence to bring the case to trial and win.
And honestly, it's an issue of we can't prove 100% to a jury right now that he was the person who pulled the trigger that killed Tyler Howell. We have a tremendous amount of circumstantial evidence that he was involved. We have a tremendous amount of circumstantial evidence that he was in the area. However, it's just not enough to prosecute at this time.
Jones says they do have another suspect, but they're keeping tight-lipped on naming him. Nearly 5 years into the investigation, authorities still have not identified the man seen here on surveillance video inside the convenience store.
I do feel that that's a big clue. And if we could find that individual, I think that would be very helpful to the investigation.
Captain Scott Jones says he and the department would want nothing more than to solve the case, but with no one coming forward, with no new information and no new leads in the case, Jones says it would make it difficult for the investigation to be solved.
We strive every day for the victims of crimes to try to get justice. There's nothing I want more for this family than to get justice for Tyler. He was a young man, and he had a lot of years ahead of him. He had a bright future ahead of him, and I would just love nothing more than to get justice for the family.
For Angela Mantlo, going years without answers and no suspects brought to justice in her son's murder has been painful for her and the entire family.
I have hope and I pray every single day that somebody would come forward and somebody would take responsibility for killing my son. It kills me every day, but I have grandbabies now, so they keep me alive. And I just wish and pray every day that, we can get justice for Tyler.
Holding on to hope, Angela turns to a special place to pay tribute to her son, a tree located where Tyler's body was found. Now a memorial where all who love Tyler can pay tribute.
We call it Ty's tree. He has a big cross up there, and that's where we go on the 21st, and we light a candle. Family and friends come over, and we actually walk down the road, and we light a candle for him.
She's optimistic one day those who know information or were involved in Tyler's death will come forward. But until that day, the matriarch remains strong, always remembering her oldest son as the person he was.
He was a good person. He made a lot of people mad sometimes, but he always made them laugh. He always made up for what he did. If he made a mistake, he made up for it. Tyler deserves justice.
The Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office says the case is still in active investigation. Authorities say anyone who has even the slightest bit of information are asked to call the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office, or they can remain anonymous by calling Crime Stoppers. They are offering a $3,000 reward for any information leading to an arrest. Reporting for Law&Crime Network, I'm Elizabeth Milner.